Hi, it's Christy with the Chirp YouTube channel. Today I'm here to talk to you about hand flapping. I got a question recently from a viewer who asked me what she could do about her son's hand flapping and why he was doing it. And so I thought it'd be a good idea to do a little video about this because it is a question I get asked a lot by families. And it's something that families are really concerned about because typically developing kids don't usually flap their hands. And so when a child does do a lot of hand flapping, especially if he has a diagnosis, the family thinks, wow, my kid's really going to stick out in school and all the other kids are going to make fun of him. So I want to find a way to get this behavior to stop. So let's talk about hand flapping today. Hand flapping is a sensory experience for kids. Usually hand flapping is an expression of excitement. And let me show you, hand flapping usually looks like this, or sometimes like this, sometimes like this. A lot of times with this side one, there's a rocking and the kid is looking at it out of the corner of his eye. Sometimes hand flapping can actually include hitting oneself on the head. So those are some examples of what hand flapping might look like. If your child flaps his hands a lot while playing with his toy cars, I'm going to assume he really, really likes those cars. Consider what you do when you're excited. Maybe you rub your hands together, maybe you jump up and down, maybe you do a little squeal. We all have ways to express our feelings physically. Sometimes these ways are not socially appropriate. For example, if you are a person who squeals and jumps up and down when you're excited, and you're at a funeral and you see a friend you haven't seen for a long time, you're super excited to see, you're probably not going to choose to squeal and jump up and down. You're going to restrain those natural things that you use to express your excitement because it's not a socially appropriate time for those particular ways of expressing yourself. And that's the kind of self-regulation we want to be able to teach our kids. So yes, flapping your hands when you're excited, that is one thing sometimes people do to help them express that they are excited. But other kids might not do that and they might think it's a little bit strange. So let's see if we can find some other ways to express excitement that might work a little bit better and that other kids might not think are weird. Students with sensory difficulties have more of these sensory ways of expressing themselves than most of us do. So an anxious child with sensory challenges is going to find sensory ways to express anxiety, like maybe rocking back and forth, like maybe biting herself, like maybe pulling her own hair or being aggressive. A happy child with sensory challenges is going to find sensory ways to express happiness, like flapping hands or like making certain noises. An angry child with sensory difficulties is going to find sensory ways to express anger, and I'm sure you can imagine what some of those might be. Children should be taught and encouraged that having feelings is not wrong. We all have feelings, and it's not wrong to have them, and it's not wrong to express them. But certain ways of expressing them can be wrong. If we hurt other people, hurting people's feelings is not okay, hurting people's bodies is not okay, hurting our things is not okay. We need to keep our things safe, we need to keep other people safe, and we need to keep ourselves safe. And we need to keep people's feelings safe as best we can. And those are the rules that we have when expressing our feelings. Teaching those rules and then teaching other ways to express our feelings is a great idea. Sometimes something that's appropriate at home when I'm expressing my feelings is not appropriate in a restaurant. Sometimes the way I express my excitement may mean that other kids think I'm weird, and I may not want that. These conversations should happen when a child is developmentally ready and can understand what's being discussed. So hand flapping on a sensory level is a way to get proprioceptive needs met. And that is finding out where the body is in space and seeking input to muscles and joints. So if you'd like to decrease hand flapping, try teaching a different strategy that your child can use instead that meets the same needs. It's got to meet the same needs, but in a more socially appropriate way. You might try teaching him to clap his hands instead, or push them together really hard, or maybe squeeze them, or you might teach him to ball his hands up into fists and squeeze them. You could say, when I'm excited, I push my hands together as hard as I can, or I clap my hands when I'm excited, or I wiggle my fingers when I'm excited. Something like that, whatever it is. And then you can see if that helps your child express excitement as well, or if that one doesn't work as well, and so you should try a different one. Try explaining the behavior that you want your child to do rather than telling him what he shouldn't be doing. So for example, when he gets excited and starts flapping his hands, don't say, we don't flap our hands, or don't flap your hands. Instead, try saying, we push our hands, or I clap my hands when I'm happy. Jumping up and down is also usually more appropriate than hand flapping, so that's another compensatory and alternative strategy. Click over here for more information about sensory needs and about different strategies that you can use to meet them. You probably want to choose something that actually meets the same need. Otherwise, it's not going to be very useful and your child's not going to switch over to some other strategy, assuming it doesn't meet his needs. So make sure that you're choosing something wisely. I also link down below to a list of different sensory needs, how they show up, what they look like, and then other things you can try that meet those same needs. I recommend even using visuals. So once you teach your child some compensatory or alternative strategy, when you realize that he's going to get excited, for example, you get the cars down off the shelf and he's already standing there and vibrating with excitement and he's getting ready to flap his hands, you can say, remember, I rub my hands together really hard when I'm excited. And then you can rub your hands together. Both of you can do it. Or you might have one that says, I push my hands as hard as I can. Or I clap my hands when I'm excited. Or I squeeze my hands instead. All of these options are things that you can choose, that you can have visuals of, and you can give your child an option. Maybe even you have a particular area where he plays cards, and you can tape some of these alternatives to the wall so that they're always visually available for him to choose from. By the way, I got these pictures from a software program called Boardmaker by a company called Mayer Johnson. I put that link down below. I do recommend this program. It's fantastic. It's also pretty expensive, so usually only professionals use it. But I have known some families who decided to spring for it because it's so helpful, and it is the program that most schools use in the classroom. So kids who are in specialized programming get very used to these particular line drawing symbols. But you can also take pictures of yourself or another family member or even the child that you're working with doing these different alternative strategies. Take pictures of those and then with your digital camera and then blow them up. So there are lots of different options of ways you can do this. It does not have to be using Boardmaker, even though Boardmaker is great. Don't squelch your child's needs to express his feelings, because once again, we all have feelings and we need to have healthy ways to express them. We also, though, need to develop the ability to regulate our actions and make sure that they're appropriate for different environments. So when your child is old enough or developmentally mature enough, you can talk about different behaviors that are okay in different circumstances and different environments. Like we discussed before, certain kinds of things can take place at home that can't take place in a restaurant or at school because that's in public. I can do things in private that I can't do in public. And those are great discussions to have with your kids. And I'll put some more links down below to books that can help you talk about those issues. I hope that this video was really helpful for you as you're thinking through maybe some sensory issue that your child might have that you would sort of like to shift. There are lots of ways to do that, and I hope that this video gave you some ideas. Have a great day. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.